Hello. Get some water. See if anybody comes in here. Yeah. Already got a thumbs up. That's cool. Daniel Adami. Harold the Rookie. Travis Christians, what's up? Light Bright. It is a wonderful evening. Clyde, how's it going? Stacy Jeffries. Troy, my day was all right. Dealt with a lot of construction today. Started my day off in Joplin and proceeded to come here to Ardmore. Now, there's two ways. You can cut through the woods, or you can just take 44 to 35 and go south. I always prefer to do that, but sometimes I wonder if that's not the best way because of all the construction here lately. Daniel's about to meet up with the legend. Which legend is that? Ghost Rider, Jason Perry. Clyde's in Seymour, Indiana. Cool. Big Rich, what's up? So I wanted to talk to everyone today because I felt like I have something to say. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Travis says I pick up my newest truck from Oklahoma City Freightliner Friday afternoon. Oh, cool. Congratulations. I'm glad you went through Oklahoma City Freightliner and not Oklahoma City Rush Peterbilt. I remember I called Peterbilt one time and I was on hold for like 45 minutes trying to get a hold of somebody. There's a lot of dealerships like that, so. But congratulations. Hi, nothing witty. Stacy Jeffries, 44 to 35. That's what I would do regardless. Right. You know, if you do the miles, it's like 60, like, I don't know, it's about 40 miles longer, but it's only like, or maybe it was 60 miles longer, but like actually 5 minutes time-wise longer. And I'm like, you get better fuel mileage, you know, no stoplights, it's easier on the brakes and everything. So just that construction, there's a bit of construction on 35 in Oklahoma, just north of Oklahoma City, and it's kind of a bear. So Sergeant Ringo, what's up? So this load that I just got done doing, I just completed, has been a pretty good experience. When I was sitting in Spring Valley waiting to get unloaded, I went ahead and booked. I was looking at the load boards and I decided to check a broker that has an app. I have an app for. Okay, I won't mention the broker. They are a highly recognized national chain. And I checked their app, and we have a contact. Like Trucking has a contact and relationship with a certain agent for this broker. And I emailed that guy, and we negotiated a price on a load that he had, and I never even had to call him. And we did all the business entirely on email. Now, the customer where I was delivering here in Ardmore, I know, I've been to this place many times, so I know what their delivery numbers look like. And I noticed that the delivery number that the broker gave me was not right. And I knew that, but to cover all my bases, I called the customer and said, hey, I want to confirm this delivery number. That's tip number one. If you're delivering at a large distribution center of a box store like Walmart, Dollar General, Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, any of those places, you might want to call ahead to make sure that the broker is giving you the right delivery number or the right appointment times. So that's number one. So I did that, and of course my numbers are wrong, just like I suspected. So, but when I called the broker, I wanted to make sure I told them, yeah, I called the place, and they said that, and they verified what I already knew. So I was on the phone with this person, and within 2 minutes, he didn't even put me on hold. Within 2 minutes, I had the right delivery number, and then I called the place back and gave them the correct delivery number. We were good. This particular broker, you do all the paperwork, you do check-ins and everything off a phone app. You know, there are a lot of these old school guys who are like, well, I don't want to download MacroPoint or any of these brokers apps because, you know, they don't need to know where I'm at. Well, if you're servicing them as a customer, like if you're servicing, doing a service for them, and it's the customer stuff on your trailer, then they should have every right to track you. You know, just like Schneider. Schneider has a tracking system for their loads. You know, if the customer wants to figure out where the load is, they can call Schneider and they can give, you know, all the trailers have tracking abilities. Think about when you mail a package with UPS or FedEx, they give you a tracking number so you can keep track of where and when it gets to where it needs to go. So I have no problem with these apps, and I was able to do all the check-ins. Not one phone call had to be made. Some brokers like to call you once an hour, every hour, or they want a location. You know, I remember I got a call from a broker one time. We need a location. I was literally out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, I don't know. You know, I didn't even have a signal to like look at the, you know, to see if the phone was going to give me a location, you know, as far as like the nearest city. So I just, you know, I think it was like, oh, I'm 100 miles west of Oklahoma City, or it was something stupid like that. But this load was booked and taken care of all with technology. And even though I'm second generation, and I remember hanging out with my dad at the time that he was driving, you know, things were a lot different then. I couldn't imagine everything I did today, how that would have handled without cell phones, without email, without, you know, all that technology. So I think that finding the right balance between you want to use technology as tools. You don't want to forget the old school ways. You don't want to forget how to read a map. You don't want to forget how to use a regular phone. You know, you want to keep that old school mentality, but use the tools available to you so you can accelerate in this ever-changing climate. So, and that's my message about this video, because it was cool that, you know, for those of you in the spot market, or, you know, you're at Landstar, if you don't develop relationships, you're going to make a lot of phone calls. You know, I was talking to Roscoe today about that. He's done like 40-something loads for Like Trucking, and he's barely done a repeat load. And he makes a lot of phone calls. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, but some days I've made a lot of phone calls, and other days I haven't made any. But I've booked loads. I've got relationships with like 4 brokers that I'm on a first name basis that I usually check to see what they got first before I start hitting the load boards. Who cares if they know where you are? Do the job, right? Thomas Wilson, what's up? TJ, Travis. Big Rich been dealing with construction as well. Sergeant Ringo already said hey to you. I like the automatic apps like MacroPoint, or like what Coyote uses. That way, you know, you don't have to deal with phone calls. Lost my train of thought. I remember one time I was doing a broker load for the company I was with. It was Transland. It was when I was a company driver. And it was snowy outside. I answered the phone because I knew it was the broker. And during that phone call, we lost traction on a bridge. And I just like, I got to go, click, you know. And, you know, from that point on, I just, you know, sometimes phone calls are great, but, you know, I'm pretty good about communicating with the broker. I did a load the other day, and I called the broker, or actually I emailed them when I arrived, I emailed when I departed, and they were like blown away by that. They're like, man, we are so glad that you do that, because we have a lot of drivers that don't do that, and so they really appreciate that. So maybe next time when I call them and they remember that I'm the kind of guy that does the check-ins and communicates openly, then maybe I can negotiate a better rate. You know, like, well, you know, maybe we give you a couple extra bucks because you're good about communicating with us, so we're not guessing where you're at all times. So, and I guess communication is key. I'm finding out that communication and patience are two definitely good things to have. I email when I arrived and when I'm loaded or unloaded. I also send pictures of load and seal. Big Rich, that's a good thing. There's only been a couple of loads I've actually taken pictures of, but that's a good habit to be into, because I remember there was a load I picked up when I was a company driver. It was somewhere out there in Jersey, I believe. And it was a two-stopper, you know, two-stop shipper, and it was going to Moberly, Missouri. I remember this pretty vividly. Or no, it was going to Ohio. That's what it was. Columbus. And the second stop was floor loaded, and it was just like these small boxes about the size of, I don't know, like a 12-pack. You know, they weren't very big boxes. And there was no way that you could strap them down. There was no way that you could, you know, a low bar wouldn't have helped. I mean, these are just all over the place. And I knew that they were going to fall. And there wasn't much I could do about it. And this is before the DOT was really cracking down on load securement inside a dry van. So, of course, I get to Columbus and I open the doors and everything's all over the floor, you know. I mean, it's not spilled. The boxes are still together. They're not stacked neatly anymore, like Tetris. And I opened the door, backed in, and the customer kind of had a little fit. It's like, man, we can't unload you tonight. And so I ended up bobtailing to the pilot there in Columbus, expecting to be sitting all day the next day trying to get unloaded. But apparently they had a night shift that the manager didn't know about, and they had it unloaded by the next morning. But see, had I had photographs of how that was loaded, I could have, you know, because I had trouble proving to my dispatcher that it was the way that it was loaded. It wasn't anything that I could do. So from that point on, I was always good about taking pictures of the load before I close the doors. Now, of course, if you're working for Snyder or somebody like that and doing drop and hook, you can't really do that every time. You know, case in point, I used to do big lots loads for, you know, out of Durant, and those loads were always falling out of the door. I remember one time I had 3,000 pounds worth of stuff fall out of the back door, and I definitely took pictures of that. I mean, nothing was ever said to me, but you know, that's a pre-sealed trailer that you never see the inside of until you open the doors. So Big Rich, that's a good habit to have, is to take a picture of every load before you seal the doors. You made a good point there a minute ago. It reminds me of the old boy who only did a good job when he liked the rate. If he did a consistently good job, he'd have more room to negotiate. Right. Nothing Witty is talking about this driver that was on Facebook, right? He talked about when he is doing a load for the rate that he likes. He is really good about all the communication and everything else. But if he was doing it for a rate that was lower than what he liked, then he didn't do any check calls. He didn't give a rat's butt, for lack of a better term. We're trying to keep it clean. And he got hammered on that Facebook page, because it's like, imagine if you hire a roofer for your house, and you guys negotiate a rate, and he doesn't like the rate, so he does a crappy job on your roof. Do you think that I'm going to call that roofer again? No. If he does good work, I'll recommend him to other people, and then maybe 10 years down the road, I'll remember that he did a good job for a fair price, and I'll use him again. So that's what Nothing Witty is addressing there. You know, whether you're making, you know, lower than what you normally do, or extreme, you know, higher than what you're doing, you want to give good customer service every single time, because I'm only on my 15th load for Like Trucking, and I'm already starting to see repeat brokers. I'm already developed relationships with several brokers to where I'm not even looking at the load boards for a lot of stuff, especially if I'm in certain areas. And they're going to remember, you know, how well I communicated. They're going to remember how well I did the check calls, and they're going to remember if I was on time, you know, and that kind of thing. And it just makes the company, Like Trucking, better as a whole by having a good reputation with several brokers. Like if a certain broker goes, oh, Like Trucking, those guys always do a good job, then that's great. And that was the situation today. The broker that I used for this load, that's definitely the case. You know, Jeff and Gear Grabber have done a lot of loads for this particular person, and when Jeff was set me up, when I was signing all my contracts and everything, they gave me this dude's email and said, you know, this guy takes care of us, so we take care of him. So it's been great. So Big Rich says rates have been dookie garbage lately. Market predictions were dead wrong. Big Rich, I agree with you, man. It's been kind of a trip. No, I'm unloaded, Jeff. The rates, there was a couple of theories of why the rates are lower right now, and one of them was that produce season has been delayed because of the you know, we're still seeing winter conditions in some places here, you know, in late April. And so a lot of reefer trailers are hauling a lot of dry van freight where normally they'd be in the produce area. So that was one. And number two, I think that the chaos everybody thought was going to happen April 1st didn't happen. And then the other thing is a lot of mega carriers have entered the spot market, doing some spot market loads to take up the slack that was creating the large rates to begin with. Because I know that a mega carrier that I know of, the rates have actually been up a little bit. Oh. Hey Jeff, I sent it. I need to send it again. I'll do that right after this live feed. It might have been because where I was at, I don't have a good signal, so I'll resend it, Jeff. So I won't be long here, so I don't want to do another hour live feed on here, so my dog just woke up. So anyways, I just wanted to, you know, everybody bashes brokers, and there's a lot of negativity towards brokers, and I just want to put out some positivity about how working relationships has definitely helped me, has definitely helped Like Trucking, and to do a load booking through email and check calls on an app, that's, to me, that's great, because that allows me to focus on things like scanning my bills and sending them in, you know, stuff like that. So and I believe that, you know, patience and, you know, take some of that old school mentality of you know, doing customer service. I think that's a big thing. And I don't want to seem like I'm being preachy or anything, because I'm not trying to be, but at the same time, there's a lot of people with some crappy attitudes out here that, you know, turn around and wonder why they're having trouble with business relationships. So, but anyways, I need to scan some bills and send them to my boss so I can get paid. And it's been a good day. There's a few loads that I'm looking at. It's late now, so there's not really anything I can book right now. Tomorrow will be a test of patience. I tried booking a few things today, but they are not budging on the rates. Like Big Rich said, there were rates that were lower, that they weren't budging on, that were lower than what I made at the Big Orange out of this area. It's kind of amazing, to be honest with you. So, I mean, you know, what can you do? I mean, keep your costs low so your net's higher, you know, and that's basically what the concept I'm going with. So, but I've got a lot of tools to look for freight. I've got several apps, several load boards, you know, and then I've also got people I'm going to email first thing in the morning that I know will have stuff in this area. So keep your head up, be positive, develop positive relationships with everybody, and things will be a lot easier and more profitable and better. So, you know, embrace technology, but don't forget about the old school. So, for that being said, thanks everyone for watching. This is just a short live feed. I thought, you know, I've had a pretty good day, and I thought I'd just share it with you guys. So, you know, so be safe, be good. Follow me on Facebook if you want. Follow me on Twitter, which I haven't tweeted that much, and Instagram, which I don't do that much. And don't bother following me on Periscope. See ya. Maybe. It won't finish. Alright, here we go. We'll just do this.